Watford picked up the first victory of the season with a fully deserved 2-0 victory at Bournemouth. Richarlison and Etienne Capoue were the match winners for Marco Silva's Watford, in the first away success since Arsenal in January. Here are some of the talking points from yesterday's game. Richarlison: there is only one place to start, and that is with the man of the moment. Richarlison was Watford's best player throughout, and it always looked like he would have a say in the result. Whilst his goal was hardly a stunner and you'd expect there to be some more memorable strikes along the way, it was a moment to savour. Had a fairly quiet start to the game. Defensively he did what was asked of him and was not afraid to put his foot in. He almost had an assist early on too, when Cleverley picked the ball up from his flicked header and saw his shot blocked. But he really came to the fore as the half moved on, and he produced two moments of magic, moments that make you sit up and take notice. The first saw him flick the ball onto his right foot, and when it dropped, he slipped it through Adam Smith's legs and carried it his merry way. Shortly after that, a Cruyff turn bamboozled the Cherries full-back and saw Richarlison set up Gray, who ballooned the shot over. He was involved in most of the Hornets' attacking moves in the second half too, scuffing a couple of shots when in good positions, before getting on the end of Gray's cross and prodding the ball home. Cramp then got the better of him, but Richarlison had done enough. Watford know they have a gem on their hands. Defensive solidity. While Bournemouth's attacking options are not at the same level of Liverpool, Watford's defence still showed a marked improvement from last weekend's showing. Sebastian Prödel's inclusion due to Jans Kabul's injury was the only change, and it is tough to see why the Austrian did not start last week. He produced the sort of display that saw him named Player of the Season last year and sent a message to Silva with it. But Prödel was not the only difference. Britos continued his promising start to the season, although Benicofo did escape his clutches at times, and Jose Holebas produced the sort of performance you expect from him. All that was missing was the yellow card. Kiko Femenia was also much better. Granted, there were a couple of hairy moments when he was caught out of position, but on the whole he was more solid. Watford were getting blocks in and around the box, and when one defender was out of position, another was there to cover. Hurelo Gomez had a quiet game as a result, saving from a phobe in the first half and from a Steve Cook header early in the second half. Missed chances, and another day, Watford might have been made to pay for their profligacy in front of goal. Nathaniel Chalobah was the main culprit. He failed to get a proper connection on the ball from an Nord Amrabat cross in the first half, left the ball after being fooled by a Bournemouth player in the second half, and had a weak effort saved by Begovic when one-on-one with the Bosnian. But he was far from the only man guilty of fluffing his lines. Andre Gray should have done better in first half stoppage time, spooning a great chance over from inside the six-yard box. Richarlison also had two weak shots blocked when he was in a good position before opening the scoring. Luckily for the Hornets, they kept creating opportunities and didn't afford too many to Bournemouth. But Silva mentioned that they should have scored earlier after the game, and he was right. Sharpen up in front of goal, and this Watford team will cause a few upsets and dispel a few myths going forward. Subs impact. It has been noticeable that the substitutes Silva has made in the first two competitive games have made a difference. Last week Richarlison and Andre Gray lifted the crowd, and the Brazilian got an assist at the death. Yesterday it was the turn of Etienne Capoue. Capoue's future was in doubt 3 weeks ago, when reports of an argument with Silva surfaced, but that appears to be behind him. He took the ball down calmly and powered a low drive into the bottom corner and out of Asmir Begovic's reach to put the icing on the cake for Watford. Everyone knows Capoue has quality. He's shown it before, it just doesn't happen often enough. There are far too many games when Capoue is anonymous and doesn't have the desired impact on the team. But he'll be hurting at being left on the bench for the opening two games, having started 37 of the 38 league games last season, and he made a point at the Vitality Stadium. The bond is back. Connection, it's the buzzword that Silva has used whenever he has been asked about the fans. Building that connection is important, Hes repeatedly said. Well, he can consider that connection well and truly built after the victory at Bournemouth. The fans were loud and behind the team all afternoon, bringing out an array of new songs too on the first away day of the season. And that was repaid by the players, who put in a real shift and gave them plenty to cheer about on the south coast. They celebrated in front of the travelling support after both goals and took in the applause at the end. Silva praised them too. What a difference a few months make. The feel-good vibe that is surrounding the club doesn't look like disappearing anytime soon. There's going to be plenty of fun this year if the first 2 weeks are anything to go by.